Endeavor Houston, good morning, and a special good morning to you today, Greg.
Good morning, Shannon, and good morning, everyone. And great to hear your voice, Shannon. I guess this will be the last chance I get to talk to you from space. We've had a lot of time together working over the radio, and it's been a pleasure always to hear your voice in the morning. And thank you for that song. That was great. That reminds me of home, reminds me of my kids who I've been thinking about so much lately. We sing that song together very often going to bed, so that's great. Thanks for that, and thanks to my family for sending you that music to play for me this morning. We're all thinking about going home today. It's going to be a great day, last great day in space for everyone. We're really looking forward to this day and enjoying the rest of our time up here. And thinking of home, it's been great to have an amazing home away from home for the past. My watch is telling me that it'll be 182 days for me today away from home. But a lot of people have to spend time away from home, but I've been lucky to have a really spectacular place to live for the last half year. And very proud that all of us here are leaving the space station a better, more spectacular place than it was when we arrived. So thanks a lot. Good morning, everybody, and looking forward to a great day in space.
Thanks a lot, Greg.
That wake-up music in the 3:55 a.m. Central Time call up to Endeavour astronauts was Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. It was played for Greg Shamantoff, returning to Earth after about 6 months absence as an Expedition 17 and Expedition 18 crew member aboard the International Space Station.
We're now receiving some downlink television pictures from the aft portion of the Space Shuttle Endeavour. The shuttle's name clearly in view on the right-hand side of the split screen view. Looking forward to the upcoming cycling of the elevons on the outer portion of the Space Shuttle's wings.
Endeavour Houston, you are go for APU start.
Alan Poindexter radioing up that the team here on the ground is ready for the crew to start the auxiliary power units that provide the hydraulic pressure that are used to activate these systems.
And Houston, we're ready for APU hide shutdown.
Endeavour Houston, you are go for APU hide shutdown. Good job.
And Alan Poindexter reporting that the team here on the ground saw a good check out of the flight control surfaces aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour and has given the go-ahead to shut down the auxiliary power unit's hydraulic pressure. These views coming to us from the payload bay cameras on board Endeavour from an altitude of 214 statute miles out over the central North Atlantic. The instrumentation and communications officer here in Mission Control panning the cameras around so that we can take a look at the orbiter boom sensor system and the skin of the Leonardo multipurpose logistics module tucked in the aft portion of the payload bay. And the mechanical systems officer here in the flight control room also reporting that the auxiliary power units now are fully shut down after today's flight control system checkout. We're continuing to look at downlink television pictures from the payload bay of the shuttle Endeavour. These views being brought to us by the instrumentation and communications officers here in Mission Control, who are controlling cameras while the crew is busy with other activities, wrapping up their flight control system checkout and getting ready for the next step on the timeline in half an hour, which will be the reaction control system checkout. The Endeavour crew's day began at 3:55 a.m. Central Time, and after that it was time for crew stowage as the STS-126 crew, Commander Chris Ferguson, pilot Eric Bowe, and mission specialists Steve Bowen, Don Pettit, Heidi Stephanician Piper, Shane Kimbrough, and Greg Shamatov began final stowage activities, getting all the equipment and supplies that they had brought out to support the mission to the International Space Station tucked away and ready for landing tomorrow. This is the preliminary cabin stowage activities. Final stowage activities will occur tomorrow, landing day. And the crew has now completed its flight control system checkout and is looking forward to the next event on TV at 10:55 a.m. We hope to get some views of the reaction control system hot fire. These downlink pictures showing us the Earth below as Endeavour orbits 218 statute miles above the coast of Western Europe. Cloudy day below. Cameras in the payload bay of the shuttle Endeavour capturing the moon against the Earth's limb as the shuttle orbits 220 statute miles over Eastern Europe. This is Mission Control Houston, the propulsion systems officer here in Mission Control, continuing to follow along as the crew on board Endeavour finishes up its reaction control system jet firings in preparation for tomorrow's planned landing at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. We're watching live television pictures from 227 miles up as the shuttle orbits over the South Pacific as this program sequence of firings of the steering jets on the shuttle continues. Crew already has completed the full checkout of the flight control systems, the elevons and rudder speed brake that'll be used once Endeavour regains contact with the Earth's atmosphere. This is a look at the thruster firings that will be used to control the shuttle as it begins its descent. Looking over the starboard sill of the Space Shuttle Endeavour's payload bay at the KU band antenna and the grapple fixture for the orbiter boom sensor system. You can see the shuttles vibrating slightly as the reaction control systems fire.
Houston, we see the RCS hot fire test complete.
Endeavour, copy and concur. Great job on the FCS checkout and RCS hot fire today.
Chris Ferguson aboard Endeavour, getting the report from Alan Poindexter here on Mission Control that the propulsion systems officer and the team saw a very good reaction control system hot fire, test firing all the steering jets that will be used to guide Endeavour as it prepares to enter the Earth's atmosphere. Also earlier today, the flight control systems that will guide Endeavour once it has returned to the atmosphere of the Earth, checked out properly, and all the hydraulic power systems that will drive them worked well in addition to the surfaces themselves.
Endeavour Houston, are you ready for the event?
We're ready for the event.
CNN, this is Houston. Please call Endeavour for a voice check.
Hello, Endeavour. This is the good ship CNN in New York calling. How do you read?
We've got you loud and clear, Miles. I believe that's you.
It is Miles. Good to have you with us. Let's begin with the commander, Chris Ferguson. Tell us about this difficult task of getting that water recycling system, that urine recycling system working. In the end, were you just sort of kind of banging on it to see if you could make it work?
I tell you, Miles, I wish you could claim a lot of expertise on the water recycling system. I'd like to think of myself more as as part of the crew who shuttled the whole thing up here. Of course, it was developed on the ground by the great folks who work for NASA, and there were some minor glitches, but by the end, they eventually got things going. And what I'd like to do is turn you over to Don Pettit. He is our resident expert on the water recycling system.
All right.
The water recycling system is serial number 001 for something that's fairly complex. We don't recycle our urine on Earth like this for reuse, and you can expect to have a few glitches when you get something like that fired up. So it was not unexpected, and with the help of the folks from Huntsville and from JSC, we all worked together and figured out a way to get the thing running.
Kind of gives new meaning to the term can do, if you know what I mean. I guess it was your number one priority up there anyhow. Don Pettit, as long as I've got you, let's talk a little bit about your novel coffee-making device. A lot of people wouldn't think about this, but in space you can't make drip coffee, and of course, you know, this is the Starbucks nation here. We all need our drip coffee. What did you do? You don't happen to have it with you, do you?
No, it's packed away in my locker. What I did was make a cup that you can drink fluids out, coffee, tea, water, soda, I guess rehydrated drinks. You can drink them out of a cup, sort of like you do on Earth. And we're stuck with sucking things out of a bag up here because of the weightlessness, sort of like drinking the juice bags you get in the grocery store. And it's kind of nice to be able to sip things from a cup. If future space colonists live in an orbital environment for long periods of time, they're going to want to be able to drink out of a cup. And anyway, we figured out how to do that.
All right, I think you should apply for the patent right away. Pass the microphone over to Heidi. Heidi, Definition Piper. You know, we have to talk about the tool bag. I'm sorry, we got to go there. You know, the tool bag, not since Sputnik has there been such interest in something passing overhead. There are amateur astronomers who've been trying to get the tool bag. There's a web tracker right now which keeps track of where the tool bag is. at any given moment. And, of course, a lot of people, more than anything, are curious how there could be $100,000 worth of tools in there. Can you explain that?
Well, a lot of our tools that we use, even though they look very, very simple, they have to go through a rigorous testing process so that we can take them up here. Just the simple things that you don't think about on Earth is, things like, sharp edges or off-gassing. Is something going to off-gas, and how is it going to perform out in a vacuum? And all of that testing and certification that we have to do for all of our tools, that adds up. And so that's how relatively simple tools can cost a lot of money.
And as far as you know, NASA's not going to take that out of your paycheck, right?
Well, if they do, I guess I'll be working for NASA for a long, long, long time.
All right, pass it over. Let's talk to Steve Bowen for a minute. Steve, you're the first, is it submariner or submariner, ever to fly in space, and did a lot of work on that solar array, that bulky solar array. First of all, I want to ask you about the analogy between being in a submarine and being on the shuttle. And I think this shot tells folks a lot about how cramped it is on the middeck of the shuttle. The shuttle itself is like 7 people in a small Winnebago. Are there a lot of similarities?
The living environment on board the shuttle is very similar to that on a submarine in that you have a lot of people in a very small area. When we got to the space station, the thing that I noticed was how large it was, and you really do have a lot more room up there in the space station. But the one thing that was very similar was the odor. As soon as I got on the space station, I noticed a distinct pseudo-submarine odor, not quite as intense, but it was very familiar, and those that know it will remember it well.
All right, guys, I'd like to press on that vein, but we're going to have to leave it there. We're out of time. Weather doesn't look so good for landing. Good chance the crew may end up, who knows, at Edwards Air Force Base, or maybe in Florida, or maybe coming down on Monday. But congratulations to all of you for a good mission, and we wish you a happy landing.
That's me. I'm glad to talk to you. Welcome on board Space Shuttle Endeavour.
Hey, Greg, I wanted to ask you, you have been up in the International Space Station now for some 5 months. Can you describe to us what the feeling is like as you are getting closer and closer to hugging your children, seeing your wife, and being back on Earth for the first time in 5 months?
Well, some folks who have been up there before for a long time kept telling me, don't start counting the days yet. And but that transition, once I got on board Endeavour, is okay, it's time you can count the days now. But it was really awesome to see the Space Shuttle Endeavour pull in formation below us, not only because I knew that it was my ride home, but also because it's really a beautiful spaceship. And to see 2 spaceships together flying up here, it's surreal. It's really amazing. It was wonderful to welcome these guys on board. We've been up there more or less 3 guys alone for a long time. And all of a sudden to have 10 people working on the space station, renovating it. These guys did an amazing job updating the space station and getting it ready for a crew of 6. So that was a lot of fun for the time we had together. And now it's a pleasure to join this crew. And I really appreciate the ride home. I'm really looking forward to seeing my kids and my family, as you said.
Greg, I'd like to ask you another question. You have had a chance through NASA to live underwater for a time through their NEMO program. You've had a chance now to be in space. Can you compare the 2 experiences?
Yeah, a few of us have on board here have also lived on the Aquarius underwater habitat for a time, and that's also a terrific mission, a great experience, and very similar in a lot of ways. There you're also really dependent on life support equipment to maintain your life, and that's the priority. If there's anything wrong, that's the priority. Of course, you need to take care of your equipment so it can take care of you. And we use that facility as training for long duration missions and also for space missions, because there are those parallels. Of course, doing a spacewalk underwater is like doing a dive, and there we see see life. I'd say one of the differences is on Nemo, you're still, in Earth's environment, and when you go outside or look outside, you still interact with nature. The difference here is we have this unbelievably spectacular view of nature, all of nature, at its best, but we're remote from it and can't interact with it. So that's an interesting contrast. But very similar, of course. We're a little more remote on the space station, and we don't have access to help if we need it. So we have to be a lot more self-sufficient on the space station.
Greg, you've spent a lot of time, of course, great periods of weightlessness in the environment, and of course all of the other astronauts have spent those 2 weeks up there. In reacclimating, is it very difficult to do so, or have things changed in terms of the program that allows you to reacclimate very easily?
Well, I'll let you know after I get back. It's really amazing because when you arrive in space, it feels strange for a short time, but within a couple of days you feel great. And everybody is an acrobat after that. You fly around and it's like in a dream. It's floating in space. It's just a wonderful feeling. And sleeping for some of us up here is also just absolutely wonderful. I know going back is going to be a lot harder. It's amazing that our bodies are obviously designed and evolved for 1G, but we adapt to 0G really well. And going back to 1G, it's going to take some rehabilitation, so I'm expecting that to take some time. But yes, we have a program in place, and pretty much expected to be back to normal within a month or two.
Greg, just real quickly, we have to go, but I just want to say if you have anything to say to your friends from Blackford High in San Jose, class of 1980.
Well, yeah, one of the things about this whole mission for me is that the meaning of being up here, it really, in a way, surprised me, and that the meaning and what was important about it was the ability to share this whole mission and the whole experience with everybody, all my friends and family and colleagues and schoolmates. And so, a big hello, of course, to everybody in the Bay Area, and especially my fellow students from Blackford High. But it's been wonderful to keep in touch with people from here and share the experience. I think they've helped me remember how special it is to be here, and so that's really been important for me.
I want to invite you to come visit our family-owned appliance superstore.
Hi, audio check. This is Susan Harding with KATU TV.
We have you loud and clear, Susan.
Okay, it's a pleasure talking to you, gentlemen and ladies. First question, we're wondering just what are your thoughts on this final full day in space, and when you look back at what you've accomplished over the last 2 weeks?
I'd like to pass the mic to someone else and just share briefly how I feel. I mean, we came up here with a very long list of objectives, and although we encountered a glitch or two along the way, we've managed to achieve them all. So right now, on the evening before landing, of course, as the commander of the flight, my mind is on the landing, but I'm extremely satisfied with what this fine crew has accomplished.
And if you could tell us also about the final...
Well, we've had a great time up here. Every day seems to bring something more spectacular than the day before. From the launch about 2 weeks ago up until now, it's just something new every day. It's just unbelievable, whether it's looking down at the Earth or accomplishing some of our objectives either on the space station or the space shuttle. So I've just had a great time, and looking forward to getting back down to Earth. I think getting back to gravity is going to be a little tougher than I expect, but we'll see how it goes tomorrow, hopefully.
And we also wanted to ask you, it's definitely grabbed headlines here, the recycling system, turning urine and sweat into water. We're wondering, one, how is it working, and do you feel hesitant to actually drink the water?
I haven't heard an update in terms of how it's working since we undocked, but at the time of undocking, it seemed to be working just fine. And the NASA engineers are not going to let us drink the water or not subject us to drinking the water until after it's been analyzed on the ground and the machine running on orbit for a few weeks. So part of our mission is to get the thing running and then bring the first samples back down for initial analysis. So we've got a couple of lockers here packed full of yesterday's coffee that we're going to be bringing back down.
Okay, and we also wanted to ask you about the missing spider. One, has it been found, and did his disappearance affect your research at all?
Yeah, you know, it's really been fascinating to watch the spiders. You know, there's only certain experiments on board that have other life, and so anything that's growing plants or watching the caterpillars of the spiders has been kind of fascinating for us, especially those of us who've been up there for a long time. At one point, I saw 2 of them, so you know, I'm not 100% sure the status right now, but at one point, I definitely saw 2. So we're hoping that they're both okay. But it's really been neat to see the webs they've been spinning. Sometimes they've been all over the place, and sometimes they've been beautiful and symmetric. So anyway, so far they've been doing good.
Okay, and another headline, a lot of people have been talking about the missing toolbox. We're wondering, do you find it annoying that the media has focused so much on that one mistake when you've had so many successes there in space?
Yes, I have to say sometimes it does get a little annoying because people do ask over and over again about it. But in a lot of ways, you got to look at it and say, okay, if this is something that's going to capture people's attention and get interested in the space program, then you got to make something good out of it. And if that's more people that we can get interested in the space program, and if that's how they start, and then they, you know, the more they look into it and they realize all the great things that we're doing up there. You know, it was amazing on that spacewalk. Steve and I were out there, and yes, that happened early on, but we were able to work through it, and still we accomplished our goals for that spacewalk. And so, you know, we try to put it behind us and just move on to the future, and you know, we learned from our mistakes, and we didn't do it again on the next 3 spacewalks, and so, you know, we're happy with it. And, you know, if it's something that's going to get people interested in space, then I guess it's not all bad.
And this question is for Silverton, Oregon native Don Pettit. It's great to talk to you. We're wondering, back in 2003, you landed in a Russian space capsule that landed 400 miles off course due to a software glitch. What's it like knowing the space shuttle will bring you home right on target?
Well, it's sort of the difference between flying economy class and flying business class. So I'm flying business class home this time.
Also, is there anything you'd like to say to your friends or family back home here in Oregon?
Well, I understand there's a mural on the side of a building there that I want to get down and see. And one of my brothers at the pre-launch festivities showed me a picture of it. So I'm anxious to get a chance to see what the folks at Silverton have done.
Okay, and we can't wait to see you either. So congratulations, all of you, on a successful space mission, and we wish you a safe landing.
Thank you, CNN, KRON-TV, and KATU-TV. Endeavour, we are now resuming operational air-to-ground.
We're now just minutes away from our planned deployment time for PicoSat. Again, this is a satellite to look at new methods of generating electricity on orbit using photovoltaic cells. Flight controllers reporting to Brian Lunny here in Mission Control that Endeavour now is in the proper attitude or orientation relative to the Earth for the deployment of the satellite.
Houston Endeavour, 1 minute till deploy.
We copy, Endeavour.
Ten seconds to deploy. 3, 2, 1. And deployment of PicoSat. Again, this small satellite will look at newly developed solar cell technology, and the satellite being deployed at 5 feet per second using a spring-loaded device, total of 3.67 miles an hour departing from Endeavour.
Houston, bottom of step 7. Deployment is complete, 1938.
Sweet copy, Shane. Great job. 1938.